G'day everybody, welcome back to Turbo Gogu. Dad's away for the week, so I made it over to Timmy'S place, and you guys might have seen Timmy in our last episode with the XY Falcon. He's an absolute gun wirer, and he's got a few gems in the garage as well. So Timmy, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the cars we're going to have a look today.
I'm Tim. I think we've met before. I'm a Datsun guy. I've got a couple of Datsuns that Gussie wanted to take a look at. The car I'm standing in front of is my 1969 Datsun 510. I've owned this one since 2001, so nearly 25 years. Makes me feel very old. So yeah, I'll show you a few things about the car and tell you about what makes it special and why I like it.
Beauty, well, let's get into it. Alright Timmy, we've got an FJ swap here. Can you tell me a little bit about the engine and why you chose it for this build?
I bought the car, it had an FJ swap in it. It was done in the 90s. Very early FJ swap. I bought the car in 2001 and the engine was swapped in I believe Sydney in the mid to late 90s. I had a 1600 and it was really bad body, and I had a bit of money in my pocket to buy a car, and I bought this car. It had the FJ in it, but it was a bit different to what it is now. This FJ20 is an S12 Gazelle version of the FJ20. They also came in a version of the Skyline called a DR30. And that's about a mid-80s engine. FJ20s are considered a bit special amongst fanatics. They're a 2-litre iron block, big twin cam cylinder head, very iconic 80s motor. This engine was rebuilt about 10 years ago when I cracked a Rigland and needed to rebuild it. It's a fairly basic build, forged pistons, standard rods. It's got a better head gasket and head studs and better valve springs. The rest is pretty much stock. It doesn't make a lot of power. It makes about 320 wheel horsepower. It's got a small Garrett ball bearing turbo, a 6-boost manifold, a Haltech ECU. Yeah, quite a basic combo. I've got my other Datsun, which you'll see soon, which makes a lot more power, and that's sort of the car I play with. But this one, the cars and coffee type car.
Yeah, sweet. Is there any specific things you love about this car?
What makes this car quite unique is that it's a 2-door. This car was imported into Australia in 1992 and had a right-hand drive conversion. A lot of the right-hand drive bits move across, so the steering box swaps over and the idler arm swaps left to right. And then you've got to then do the panel work in the dash. There's about 20 2-doors in Australia, maybe more, but it's not terribly common. So the interior on the car, it looks mostly stock. It's actually an original back seat. The front seats are 86 seats that I adapted in. The dashboard is a 510 Triple S dash, and I've put autometer gauges in it, and it has a Defi DIN as well for more gauges. I plan to put a Haltech dash in it with my next round of upgrades to the car. But yeah, it's a pretty comfy place to be. I'm a big fella, so it's a pretty tight squeeze, but yeah, it's a comfy place.
Tell me a little about the wheels and the brakes.
They are SSR Professor wheels, 17.7, 17.8, plus 25 offset. The brakes are R32 GDR front and rear.
Beauty, well, looks bloody good, doesn't it?
It stops good and it looks good.
How about the gearbox?
Gearbox is a R34 Skyline gearbox. It's still the small size one, what's called a 71C, but it's out of a R34 RB25DE, naturally aspirated Neo box, which is about the last of those boxes, last of that rear-wheel drive era box. I got it out of a really low-K front cut specifically to adapt. So I didn't want to put the big gearbox in. I'm actually have plans to change the gearbox. I'm planning an 8 HP substitute for the gearbox that's in it. So I'll be putting in an 8 HP gearbox and a controller for that transmission next year.
Sweet. 8 HP the world. All right, Timmy, what do we have here?
So this car is my 1981 Datsun Bluebird. It's a bit of a story. This one is how I got it and how I acquired it. I bought this one pretty much sight unseen from Eastern Victoria. I live in Queensland, so that's about 2,500 kilometres away. A good friend and I, we flew to Melbourne. We caught the V-Rail east to a country town called Sale. We met people in the car park of a Kmart shopping centre, and they picked us up. Luckily, they didn't murder us, but we were able to took us to the car. I put a battery in it, we popped the tyres up, we drove to Queensland, and that was with its standard 2-litre Datsun engine and transmission. The car sat standard for a long time. I had plans to do an engine swap into it. Your dad helped me with that swap originally when he was at AM Auto. We fit it was an import motor, it was a VQ30 DET, so a Nissan Cima, or Chima, however you say it, front cut motor, and I adapted that to a VL turbo automatic, and the car ran with that engine. It had a Garrett 35R turbo on it. It ran 10s like that and did power cruise, and I think I went through a couple of those motors. I was pretty hard on them. And then the car sort of evolved from there. So now the engine is a VQ35 bottom end. It's actually an El Grand block out of one of the vans, but it's got a built bottom end, rods, pistons, sump girdle, studs, HKS head gaskets, but it retains the VQ30 cylinder heads because all the manifolds and the way that it mounts is around those cylinder heads. There's nothing good about those cylinder heads. It's just that everything suits that. So it's a bit of a hybrid, bit of a mongrel. The turbo on it now is a G40 1150. Your dad helped me with that again because he's a master fabricator. It's now got a power glide automatic in it with a high stall converter, Hilux diff with a better LSD center. The car makes 750 wheel horsepower. I think actually 762 is the number. So yeah, it goes really good. It makes about twice the power of the yellow Datto. It doesn't look anywhere as good, but I like it because I can just get in it and drive it, and I don't have to worry about the paint, and I don't have to fuss over it, and I can just thrash it. It's a bit of an experimental car.
And you've been to a few events recently in it?
Yeah, I have. I took it to Rocky Nats recently, and I took it down to the Dat Nats, which is an event in Sydney for the Datsun community. I did a bit of roll racing, a bit of street drags, things like that.
And how do you run it? Or what time?
On the 8th mile, this car's gone 6:30 at 115 mile an hour. Is the fastest time to date. I am hoping to run a 9-second quarter mile pass this year. We'll just see. We'll just see what I can do. I think it's got the power to do it. I need to sort the suspension out to make all that work a bit better because it's quite basic what's in there now.
Do you know like what the weight of the car is, so what the power to weight would be?
Without me in it, I think the car's between 1250 and 1300 kilos. I haven't weighed it though. These are 1110 kilos standard. So the reason I chose this car is the Queensland modification laws. There's a formula to work out the maximum legal engine size or the maximum recommended engine size. And I chose this car because it's over 1100 kilos, but not by much. So you could put a 3-litre turbo in it at the time. So probably the 3.5-litre bottom end. Yeah, you can't really tell from the outside.
That's awesome, Timmy. What type of engine system have you got in here?
Engine management on this car is a Nexus R5, and we run a Haltech dash and a keypad. I don't have the full chassis running through the R5, so it's not fully populated, just really powertrain stuff in the car. But yeah, it's fantastic. I can pretty much do anything that I dream up from a configuration perspective. If I want to control something a certain way, we've just implemented traction control. So we've got front and rear wheel speed sensors, which allows us to close the throttle body if there's wheel slip detected, and just functions like that. You pay the money for a Haltech or something good, and you get the features for life. So I'm very, very happy.
Got another Datto here, Timmy.
Yeah, this one belongs to my brother-in-law, Richard. He bought the car during COVID for my nephew, who was looking for a project. My nephew fell out of love with it. He bought Subarus instead, the poor kid. And now my brother-in-law sort of took over the project. This is a Series 2 Bluebird, so mid-80s. I don't know the exact year. And he swapped in another 80s Nissan engine, the little brother to the FJ20. This is called a Z18. These Z18 engines were made famous for famously setting the lap record at Bathurst. driven by a guy named George Fury. Now that engine's a little bit different to this one because this one came from the wreckers. He's put on that's a G25 size 550 turbo. It had an exhaust manifold made, and it's here for me to help him finish it off. So jobs on this are to wire the engine. It's getting a Haltech Elite 550. It's getting a dash, a wideband controller. We need to install an intercooler. He's running one of my crank angle sensors that I make and sell for Datsun and Nissan engines. That's going to tell the ECU what the engine position is. But yeah, it's a pretty cool project. He's had a go himself. He's a train driver and he painted this himself. He put the engine in himself, had some help with the fabrication. But yeah, we're going to get this running quite soon and hit the road. Probably make a couple of 100 horsepower easily. Nice and torquey with that little ball bearing turbo. But yeah, it's a really cool car. It's really be good to have another one running.
Sweet as. It's raining Dattos here, isn't it?
So many Datsuns. Datsuns everywhere. But I had to sell quite a few Datsuns when I had kids. So I'm down to two. Two, and I have a few that pop in for work and I help people out.
What is it, buddy?
Leroy's upset with you.
He wants more Dattos. More Dattos. Alright, Timmy, thanks for showing us around Datto Land. And thank you all for watching. This has been Turbo Gogu. And stay tuned for the next one.
Like and subscribe.
Got another daddy here.